Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining me on Pool Deck, the podcast that talks all things in and around the aquatic recreation industry. First of all, I want to give a shout out to all our pool managers out there. They're doing it a bit tough. They've had some fires out in the regions and had power cuts. So I know you guys are normally doing it tough out there, but doing it extra tough at the moment. So hopefully you get your power back on and everyone is safe out in those regions. So talking about safety, we're going to be actually talking to a guest speaker today, John East, and he is from Royal Life Saving Western Australia, and he's the Safe Venues Coordinator. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me on Pool Deck.
Thanks, Steve. It's good to be here.
You've had a bit of a journey, haven't you? And that you've been in the industry quite a while. How long have you been in the industry for?
Steve, I've probably been in the industry just a little bit over 30 years. A lot of that time has been spent at Fremantle in multiple roles. I guess my first role in the industry was a swimming teacher. Yeah. Did that for a year or so and then realised that the role of the lifeguard looked a lot more attractive than jumping into the swimming pool every day. So
a bit cooler out at Fremantle in the water with that Wesley and doctor coming in.
Fremantle doctor, yeah. So I took a few qualifications and got qualified to be a pool lifeguard and did that for many years, and then progressed through the ranks and got the opportunities through the city to become a duty manager, then a pool supervisor, and eventually a facility manager, which I was in that role for about 17 years.
Yeah, so you've now done a bit of a career change and you've come to Royal Life Saving as the Safe Venues Coordinator. So why change?
There was multiple things going through my mind. One of them was I don't want to die at Fremantle and what other opportunities were out there before I got to the point where I was just, too far gone, so to speak.
Sure.
So, yes, I spoke to some contacts that I had and knew at Royal Life Saving Society, and there had become an opportunity over here to join the Safe Venues team, and I've been here for 2 years and really enjoying it.
Yeah. So you're also very well known in the industry. You did a lot of training and that as well, with especially with lifeguarding and so forth. And you're also on the board, the Lever Aquatics board for many, many years. And now you've joined the ranks of a life member. So congratulations on being a life member now for a few years. We sort of inducted you into life membership sort of probably at the worst time during COVID, so we couldn't really celebrate the way we sort of wanted to, but I think it's a really good recognition of all the years of service and the passion you've had and that for the industry. You've got a lot of other hobbies as well. You've got some surfing hobbies, bike riding. Well, where's your favourite surfing spot?
Great Southern, Denmark.
Yeah,
I'm fortunate to have a little place down there, and I get down there quite regularly. Enjoy the beaches down there. There's a variety of different surf options there, and it's family friendly as well. I've got a few little grommets in the family, and they're enjoying jumping on a board and catching a few waves with me as well. So it's all good. Denmark.
Yeah. Denmark's your favourite, but I know that you guys go to Indonesia a bit and do a little bit of surfing over there. How does the waves rate and that compared to Denmark?
Yeah, we're spoiled. Every now and then we decide to charter a boat and make our way over to the warm waters of Indonesia and get some pristine waves, almost like picture perfect waves. They're almost mechanical. Yeah. But yeah, really enjoy that with some mates that we've been doing this for, probably just a little bit over 10 years. It's something to look forward to. Yeah. And enjoy it.
We're here today to talk a little bit about safety in and around facilities, but more so around the safety assessments, or some people know them as safety audits. And that's so your sort of role here at Royal Life Saving is to sort of coordinate and do those safety assessments. But for those coming into the industry of not sort of too sure about what it is or, what's the process of that, can you give us a bit of a brief overview of actually what is a safety assessment that facilities get?
Sure, Steve. Royal Life WA has been in partnership with LGIS, Local Government Insurance Scheme, for many years. And part of the program is that we will go out to 30 sites, 30 facilities each year. And then on a rotational basis, it makes it come around every 3 to 4 years to a Group 1 aquatic facility. And we do the safety assessment at these 30 sites. It entails a certified assessor, auditor, to go out on site with a series of questions, pretty much specific to the Code of Practice, the Department of Health's Code of Practice, as well as the Guidelines of Safe Cooperation, the GSPOs. And we go through 12 sections, and we work closely with the operations or the facility manager, and we're basically getting evidence on those questions and capturing that evidence.
So really, these assessments, are they an automatic thing? Is it a requirement? Does the councils have to be involved in this, or is it something that's just organised and it's set and it's always sort of done throughout the facilities, or do they actually have to approach you guys to say, yes, we want to get one done?
They can approach us and voluntarily get one done, but otherwise the Group 1 facilities, which are most of the local government facilities, it will be on that cycle of every 3 to 4 years.
Is it just yourself? Do you have a team that go out, or is it just yourself that goes out and does these? We're
a small team. Our main auditor assessor is Eddie Gibbs. A lot of people would be familiar with Eddie. Mm-hmm. Eddie's been doing it for a long time and is an encyclopedia in this field. And he's out on site, and he's actually out on site today in the Great Southern, doing some safety assessments down there for this week.
So give us the process. What actually happens when you go out and do an assessment, just from the very basics of, what are you looking for? What do you need to do? What sort of assistance do you need from the facilities?
Sure. We'll make contact with the facility manager, and we'll provide them with a series of questions from the 12 sections. And that gives them, enough time to sort of prepare the documentation and the things that we're looking for. But pretty much we're looking for, policy, procedure, evidence, that could be captured in an operations manual, an induction manual, certifications of their qualifications, what sort of training do they do, and, especially around the emergency response plan, how that's been introduced into the workforce, making sure that just not the lifeguards are familiar with it, but swimming instructors and administration staff are all familiar as well.
Yeah, so it's a really bit of back end and sort of front of house sort of areas. So signage is in places, and all the plant room is in good working order, and that, as well as obviously all your policies and procedures.
Correct.
And that as well. So it's a full slate of a range of things that you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll open up closed doors and look behind those closed doors and make sure they're self-closing, and if chlorine is involved, chlorine gas is involved, that the appropriate, dangerous goods licences have been obtained. PPE gear is all readily available, and as you said, signage is a big one.
Yeah. With these here, when you're sort of saying, going in and checking behind doors, we've really got to see this as a positive experience, don't we? It's not there just to go and pick on facilities and pick out all their flaws and that. It's really just to make sure that we're either one, set a benchmark of where we're at and then gives us a goal. Would you say that would be the direction?
Yeah, absolutely. We're working with the facilities and the owners and the operators to meet the standards and work with them to achieve those standards. We all want, a safe environment for our communities to come into our facilities to use, and we want a safe environment for our operators and our staff that are operating these facilities as well. So yes, it's when the report is actually done or the assessment is done, we generate a report. We distribute that to the facility manager, and then we allow that report to be open for 8 weeks, which gives them time, just in the event that they didn't have that documentation or that evidence available on the day, they can submit that, or if they need to do something, they have got 8 weeks to do that. Okay. They provide that evidence back to us, and then we'll close the report off after 8 weeks. But some of these things are out of the hands of an operations manager or a facility manager. Now, things that need to go up the chain. So it allows also an opportunity for a facility manager to, put, I guess, we called it at Fremantle a new initiative for a capital project or a capital budget to be considered, which are sort of things that, are out of the realm of, operational budgets, more of an expensive item that needs to be done as well. So it provides that level of support for the facility manager to say, look, it's not just my idea, it's coming from a third party as well, and it's reference to normally, a legislative requirement or a regulation of some sort or a best practice.
Yeah, so it really gives you a stamp of approval to say, look, we're doing everything we can, or yes, it's highlights some areas and gives us some projects or some guidance on where we need to fix up on those sort of areas. Now, you mentioned LGIS before and that. So what's their partnership in this and what's their sort of role?
The LGIS fund the program. They pay for the 30 facilities each year. It's great to have them on board and be a partner with them, because they show a lot of interest, and we're sort of raising the bar all the time. Over the years, and I look back on records, I can see that the average of these 30 facilities are slowly creasing up, and we're around 96% for the 22-23 financial year. And they're really good stats. It's really positive.
So that 90-odd% that's is compliancy, is it?
That's correct.
The scheduling process, you mentioned, what was it, 8 weeks that they've got things to, if there was things that needed to be rectified, they've got that sort of period. What about bigger sort of items, where it might need to be next budget, or, large ticket items that they might need to do to fix up? Is there any leeway, or what's the processes there of how you deal with that?
Look, we'll close the report off after that 8-week period, and if there's any commentary that's provided by the facility manager or operations person, we'll capture that in the report, saying that this is an item that needs to be considered at a council level. Mm-hmm. And then I guess LGIS can see those comments, and possibly LGIS might have those conversations as well with the local government authority.
Yeah, it really comes down to the type of safety, compliance or non-compliance that would really determine on whether it needs to be done right now, or something that's projected and that for the future.
Exactly, yeah, and we see all sorts. We see, barriers that could enhance, safety. We see diving platforms that are, in shallow water, or starting blocks in shallow water, which probably shouldn't be there. We're seeing ageing infrastructure, which is deteriorating and becoming a bit of a concern with concrete cancer. Mm-hmm. So they're the sort of big ticket items that the community want, but how do we manage them moving forward?
Yeah. Now we're slowly getting into the technology age, and we sort of moved away from sort of the hard. So those who may have done it many years ago, and everything was based around the code of practice and so forth. But we're looking at making some changes, aren't we? There's some new developments in that sort of space that we're doing, and maybe doing it on iPads and those sorts of things. But
yeah, Steve, it's an exciting time, and it's a great time to be involved with this. We're moving to a new question set, a national question set. So WA has had a question set which has been specific to our code, as well as some Australian standards and GSPOs. But the national question set will enhance our questions. So we're not losing our questions. We're just bringing or merging the national questions and the WA questions together.
Well, what are the differences in the new question sets that we've got in the new program?
Yeah, good question, Steve. As I mentioned before, the WA question set is based on 12 sections. Those sections are, pretty much straight out of the Department of Health's Code of Practice. The new national question set consists of 20 sections. So it's a few more sections involved, and those sections, not all sections will need to be, assessed at every facility. Obviously, the bigger facilities will probably have more, because some of those assessments, would be things about, diving pools and, hydrotherapy pools and lazy rivers and inflatables and all that sort of stuff. But other sort of the general 7 that will be asked at all safety assessments moving forward will be Section 1, Work, Health and Safety, Section 2, Emergency Planning, Section 3, Qualifications and Training, Section 4, Aquatic Programs, Section 5, Supervision, 6, First Aid, 7, Plant and Chemicals. Now, the other remaining sections will depend on your facility, but those first 7 will be asked at each safety assessment.
So they're the sections. What are we looking at, actual questions?
A question, we'll have a primary question, and then the primary question is quite broad, and then what we'll have, following or supporting that primary question will be a sub-question. So the sub-question is, going down to more detail into that primary question. So there could be 1, 2, or multiple sub-questions to that primary questions. The report will provide the client the whole list of questions that has been answered, and what has been identified as compliant and what has been non-compliant. From that, we will hopefully produce a risk plan for the client that will be able to sort of identify those non-compliant questions, and they'll be able to work on, on determining how they see those risks as what sort of level of priority, and create some sort of action towards addressing those issues.
So when we talk about time allocation, what is it that, what sort of time frame are we looking at to get an assessment done for somebody to come out and have is it a week, is it a day, is it a couple of hours? What's the assessment sort of timeline?
We're scheduling the 24, 25 now. So we will look at our database and look at who's on the cycle to come up into that next 3 to 4 year period. If we get a facility that, is not included in that, 30, and they want a safety assessment done, we'll just look at our schedule and try and fit that in. Usually we can fit them in within a 3-month sort of period, depending on, the location. If it's metro, it's a lot easier. If it's regional, it's a little bit more challenging, but it's certainly doable.
Yeah. So the actual assessment on the day, is it a couple of hours? Is it an all-day thing? Well,
at the moment, it's probably a half a day. We've got a very experienced assessor, Eddie. he knows what he's looking for, and the pool manager is quite often well prepared for us to be on site for that day. Moving forward with the new question set, the national question set, I would say it'd be a whole day on the facility. It's probably going to be half a day with an operator and half a day with, the assessor, auditor, just walking around the facility, capturing the evidence and doing that assessment on pool deck. Prior to coming out on site, the operator or the facility manager will get the list of questions, and then they can see them and then prepare.
Yeah, so that's really important. Obviously, that we're not just coming out there to, start bombarding them with all these questions without that preparation. They are sort of given those questions and that prior to prepare ready for the assessment.
Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, I think we'll be out there for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the other thing I'd probably want to mention, Steve, that right at this moment we're going through the WA questions, safety assessment process. We're trialling. We're in a trial environment at the moment, so we're going out to a few facilities, testing the new question sets and getting comfortable with it. Our assessors are getting comfortable with it, and then the plan is that we'll launch this in the 24-25 financial year. So, from then moving forward will be the national question set.
So you mentioned the LGIS is paying for this. For somebody that's not a part of this process, or somebody another facility that wants to jump on board, is there any costs involved for those sort of people? Yes,
there is, Steve. Our fees and charges for a safety assessment is $2,500 plus GST, and then if there's any travel accommodation costs, they are passed on to the client as well.
Now, over the years, many facilities obviously have taken part in this. What's some good news stories and that? So facilities that may not have done so well have really boosted their compliance and have done a lot better in safety. Is there anyone out there that's 100%?
There is, Steve. In the last financial year, 2022-23, there was 6 facilities that would have got a score probably in the high 80s or mid 80s, and they were able to get up to 100%. So it's really pleasing when you send the report back, and our first contact with the facility will be within 2 weeks of them receiving the report. We go through the report just through a verbal telephone conversation, ask any questions, provide any support or advice where we can, and then we'll stay in touch with them at the halfway mark. So I always send them an email at the halfway mark, and then another one just prior to the 8th week mark. It makes my role feel good when you can feel that there's a buy-in from this facility and the operator. They're going out of their way to write a policy or develop a procedure or order some signs or whatever they need to do. So there was out of the 30 facilities, 6 of them did get 100% last year. Yeah, that's great. Again, it sort of shows the positivity of doing this and to give you a baseline of say, look, we want to do better. Gives us a baseline of where we need to be at and where we need to get to. So it gives us some goals, and it really isn't about that just sneaking around, picking out all the faults of the facility, but to make it a place where it's very welcoming and safe for both our staff and our users. That's about it for today. I want to thank you, John, for joining in and giving our listeners a bit of an insight about safety assessments, and not to be scared of them, but to really, embrace them and use it as a tool to be able to better our industry. So thank you very much for joining us. Thanks, Steve. Really appreciated being on board. And that is it for today. We're going to put some links up on the podcast if everyone wants to get in contact with Royal Life Saving. If you think your safety assessment is due or you want to get one done, I'll put those links up on the podcast. So thank you very much and joining us on Pool Deck.